Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 discount studs that you should be drafting in 2024 fantasy football. These are 5 players that are kind of going a little bit under the radar. These are guys that are going a little bit unnoticed in fantasy football drafts, and I feel like they should be getting drafted a little higher than they are right now based upon current ADP. But before we do a deep dive into things Michael Phelps style, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into the 5 discount studs that you should be drafting in 2024 fantasy football. We begin with my first discount stud, and that is going to be Zay Flowers, wide receiver of the Baltimore Ravens. Current underdog ADP, wide receiver 25 at pick 39.6. Last year in his rookie campaign, he finished as the wide receiver 31 in PPR and the wide receiver 32 in PPR points per game. Playing in 16 games last season with 16 starts, he had 108 targets, ranking 26th at wide receiver, 6.8 per game, 77 receptions, 4.8 per game, ranking 22nd, 858 receiving yards, 53.6 per game, number 33, and 6 total touchdowns, 27th at wide receiver. So for a rookie season on a team that is relatively run heavy, I think that Zay Flowers had quite the season, and it really seemed like Zay Flowers was going to have a potential historic game up against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs until he didn't. But games like that, before, the fumble nonsense, Zay Flowers really, to me, looks like this guy has the talent to be a top 12 receiver in fantasy football. He was, in terms of efficiency, 7th in target separation, 6th in route run rate, and 18th in snap share at the wide receiver position. This is a Baltimore Ravens team that did not really add at all to the wide receiver position. It's still Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar. They've got Devontae Walker, Deontay Hardy, Tylan Wallace. So while I am a Rashad Master Bateman truther, when push comes to shove, it's not like Rashad Bateman is going to stiff arm Zay Flowers into the dirt and take over as the number 1 wide receiver on the team. Now, sure, they have Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews is going to see a bunch of targets. So even if Zay Flowers isn't number 1 in targets, I would think he would fall closely behind Mark Andrews, and more than likely, I think Zay Flowers will out-target Mark Andrews. This is a team, I get, that wants to run the ball, but they're going to have to throw at some point, right? It's not like they just run every single play like a team of 6-year-olds playing tackle football, right? Where you just run a million times, you don't throw the ball. This is the NFL. Lamar Jackson is a solid passer, and Zay Flowers is going to be his number 1 option. I saw so much talent out of Zay Flowers last year. I understand that the stat sheet doesn't necessarily show off the most elite wide receiver at the NFL level, but coming off the board as the wide receiver 25, I could easily see him finishing inside the top 12 at the wide receiver position due to how skilled he is. We saw that game up against the Chiefs in the playoffs, while ultimately the Baltimore Ravens ended up choking that one big time, in my opinion, right? Zay Flowers messes up in the end of that game, but he was a rookie. This is going to be his 2nd year in the NFL, and I think Zay Flowers is going to do some damage. I love him right now, coming off the board as the wide receiver number 25. Next up, we got Travis Kelce, tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs, underdog ADP tight end 2 at pick 38.3. Travis Kelce is coming off the board in a majority of drafts in the 3rd or the 4th round. It's not like last year where you had to basically get down on your knees and pray that Travis Kelce fell to you at the end of the 1st round, right? You don't have to pay 1st round draft capital. You don't even have to pay 2nd round draft capital for one of the best tight ends, if not the best tight end in the National Football League. Travis Kelce was the tight end 3 in PPR last season and the tight end 1 in PPR points per game, tied with TJ Hawkinson, and it seems like everyone has kind of just thrown him away right? They've used him like a cum rag and thrown him out of there, right? But Travis Kelce doesn't deserve to get thrown in the trash. Travis Kelce, I get, Nick, he's getting a little bit older. He just signed a 2-year extension with the Kansas City Chiefs. Travis Kelce has the best quarterback on God's green earth as his quarterback. And Travis Kelce is, like I said, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He's going to get fed the ball game in and game out, and yet you can find him in the 3rd round. If I was in an 8 or a 10-team league where I really do believe the tight end position is a lot more important because every team is stacked in an 8 or a 10-team league, I would be salivating at the idea of getting Travis Kelce at pick 38.3. Again, I get that last year wasn't his best season, but he started the year off with a hyperextended knee in preseason, and then he suffered a low ankle sprain in week 5. So Travis Kelce wasn't even himself last season, and he was still one of the best tight ends in the National Football League. 121 targets, 8.1 per game, number 4. 93 targets, 6.2 per game, number 3. 984 receiving yards, 65.6 per game, number 2. And 5 total touchdowns, 7th at tight end. In terms of efficiency, he was 4th in fantasy points per route, 3rd in EPA, expected points added, and 11th in target separation. In the red zone, Travis Kelce is a monster. On your own 30-yard line, on the opponent's 30-yard line, it doesn't matter where you are on the field, Travis Kelce is going to get the ball. Mr. Swift is a complete and utter steal at pick 38 right now. Again, I would be running to the draft board to throw the sticker on the board to draft Travis Kelce. And I think maybe people come correct, right? Maybe his ADP moves up to the middle of the 2nd round, and at that point, we'll see what I think, maybe in late August, early September. But right now in the 3rd round, or in the 4th round, and if that doesn't move, I am ecstatic to get Travis Kelce. I would not be shocked at all if he finished the year as the tight end 1. I get, Nick, now they have Hollywood Brown. Nick, now they have Xavier Worthy. Travis Kelce is still that dude in Kansas City. At number 3, we move to a rookie, Rome Odunze, wide receiver of the Chicago Bears, underdog ADP, wide receiver 36 at pick 65.7. If you guys have enjoyed thus far, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you're new, and whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure to leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Nick, don't you know that the Chicago Bears have Keenan Allen and Wiki DJ Moore as well? Yes, I do know that. And I am someone that over the last couple of years has gotten hounded when they talked about how much they liked Keenan Allen, because everyone loves to throw the injury-prone moniker onto Keenan Allen. And I don't think Keenan Allen is injury-prone at all. I don't think so. But what I do think is that when you draft a wide receiver with this heavy of draft capital inside of the 1st round, when you get Caleb Williams, you want to pair him with a young wide receiver. And while I still do believe that DJ Moore is the number 1 wide receiver in this offense, I think very likely, sure, maybe the season starts out, DJ Moore is the number 1, and then the number 2 in the 2 receiver sets is going to be Keenan Allen. But I think it's not going to take the longest amount of time for Rome Odunze to take over as the 2nd wide receiver in the 2 wide receiver sets to become the number 2 target on this offense that is going to be really solid under Caleb Williams. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give the gawk 9,000 special to Caleb Williams, right? I'm not going to sit here and say what everyone says, right, about how great he is, because we all know how great Caleb Williams is. Caleb Williams was put in the perfect situation to succeed, and I think that Rome Odunze as the wide receiver 36, you're going to look at the end of the season and be like, holy shit, I got Rome Odunze as the wide receiver 36? What a steal, right? I feel like top 24 is certainly destiny for Rome Odunze. And if something was to happen to DJ Moore or Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze's, again, knock on wood, we don't root for injury, his upside would be even significantly higher. 14 games played last year at Washington. He was 21 years old, 87 receptions on 141 targets for 1,553 yards, 17.9 yards per reception, and 13 receiving touchdowns. Prior to the NFL draft, people were talking about how, if Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors weren't in this draft class, Odunze would be clearly at the top as the clear number one wide receiver. To me, when I watch the tape, when I throw on the games, he looks a little bit like Chris Olave. He's a guy that is able to separate very well, and he can basically catch anything that comes near him, right? He's just grabbing everything within like a 30-foot fucking radius. Obviously, that is hyperbolic, but you get what I mean, right? He's catching all types of balls like his name was Riley Reed. So I get that his involvement early on, we talked about this, it might turn people off. It might make people turn away from Rome Odunze because of Keenan Allen. I get it, right? Early on in the season, you're not going to see week number one wide receiver start sit. You're not going to see me sitting there banging the drum aggressively saying, Rome Odunze, top 24 receiver, top 12, this, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to say that. But I think a couple weeks into the season, Odunze is going to climb that ladder fucking off the top ropes, Randy Orton style. And I really do believe that Odunze is going to be the number 2 receiver behind DJ Moore. Again, the consistency, I don't think is going to be there early on. But with a guy that possesses the skill set that Rome Odunze does, I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of the season, he's a reliable wide receiver too. We see this all the time, right? These rookies have these other receivers ahead of them. And then as the season gets deeper and deeper, the talent ultimately shows. Keenan Allen's another year older. I love Rome Odunze in Chicago. This season again, week 1, I might tell you to fucking sit him. I might. Or maybe week 1, he's already surpassed Keenan Allen, and we are just sitting there like a fat king. Shout out to Rob Stark. So let's go ahead and draft Rome Odunze, wide receiver 36. At number 4, we got Kyler Murray, the short king, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, underdog ADP, quarterback 8 at pick 78.3. Now, I know everyone loves to make fun of Kyler Murray, and I do as well, right? The guy runs like a toddler who just stole their mom's phone. The guy runs like Tyrion Lannister running away from the prostitute he just got some dome from, right? That's how Kyler Murray runs. But while it's funny to make fun of him, oh, the short king, this, that, the other thing, this guy is an incredibly legit quarterback at the NFL level. This guy has the rushing upside any given week to rush for 70, 80 yards and a touchdown, maybe even a 2-piece at the rushing touchdown game. He could score 2 rushing touchdowns in any given game. And we all know how important rushing is for fantasy football production, especially if you play in a 4-point per passing touchdown league. The 6-point per passing touchdown leagues do kind of minimize that gain because, right, in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, you get 4 points for the passing touchdown, but if Kyler runs one in, you get 6 points. Sure, it does somewhat negate it, but you're still getting 1 point for every 10 rushing yards, and you get 1 point for every 25 passing yards. So the rushing yards are still more important in that scenario. Kyler was hurt entering into last season, so he starts the year on the IR, missed half the season due to his ACL recovery, but he also tore his meniscus in 2022 as well when he tore his ACL. So he was the quarterback 26, but he was the quarterback 10 in points per game. And he was throwing to motherfuckers like me and you out there. There was no longer DeAndre Hopkins on the Arizona Cardinals. He was throwing to some McDonald's employees, some CFL, USFL wide receivers. But now he has Marvin Harrison Jr., Maserati Marv as his wide receiver 1, the undisputed number 1 wide receiver in the 2024 NFL draft class. Now, I get that the wide receiver depth behind that isn't the best, but Kyler hasn't had the best wide receivers his whole career, and he's still been successful. They also have Trey McBride as the tight end, and James Conner can catch passes as well out of the backfield. So 8 games played last year, 33.5 pass attempts per game, 268, 30th at quarterback, 176 completions, 22 per game, 30th, 65.7% completion percentage, 25th, 1,799 passing yards, 224.9 per game, number 32, 10 passing touchdowns, 3.7% rate, 29th, a 3.7% rate passing touchdown rate is extremely low. We talk about passing touchdown rate, the normal number should be around 5, right? If you throw 5% passing touchdown rate, it's very probable that you throw 5% again the next season. Maybe it falls to 4.8, maybe it goes up to 5.2. Very normal, right? If you're a solid quarterback. So him having a 3.7% passing touchdown rate, that is just bound to explode. Mount Vesuvius style, right? It is bound. Krakatoa is going to explode. Okay? It's going to go much higher. 5 interceptions, 0.62 per game, number 35. 44 carries, 16. So again, he plays half the games, 16th in carries, 244 rushing yards, 13th, and 3 rushing touchdowns, 12th. Again, this is an offense that I project to be much better than it was in 2023 because of Marvin Harrison, right? Marvin Harrison is a guy where Kyler Murray can close his eyes, do a 360 like he's doing a dizzy bat trying to hit a piñata and throw the ball. And as long as it isn't out of the stadium, Marvin Harrison's going to catch it. Again, I love Trey McBride. I love the upside in rushing that Kyler Murray possesses. And as the quarterback 8, I am going to be all over that. No diddy in fantasy football drafts. I love Kyler Murray right now as the quarterback 8. And last year, 0.53 fantasy points per drop back. 10th. There's leagues where I'm doing these best ball drafts on Underdog. Link in the description. And I am seeing Kyler fall to the quarterback 11 sometimes. The quarterback 12. I don't know why. I don't get it. I love Kyler Murray. And man, oh man, I think 2024 is going to be a great year for him. Again, he played great coming off the ACL tear. Now it's another year removed from the ACL. I think he should be able to do even better. Final guy to talk about here, final discount stud. We're going to talk about the discount king himself, Coles Cash Kirk. Kirk Thuggins, Kirk O'Chains, Kirk Cousins, quarterback of the Hotlanta Falcons. Underdog ADP, quarterback 18 and pick 134.1. Basically free in redraft leagues. Free. Now I get there's a lot of bad narratives about Kirk Cousins, and people don't just call him short, right? Like Kyler Murray, because Kirk Cousins isn't short. They say he can't win big games. They say this about him. They say he sucks ass in prime time, which is kind of true, right? People love making fun of Kirk Cousins. But at the end of the day, the only concern for me about Kirk Cousins is the Achilles. That's the only worry, right? And I think that's what's keeping him from being ranked even higher. In Minnesota, cold like Minnesota, last year he was the quarterback 7 in points per game. Quarterback 24 on the season because he only played in 8 games because of the torn Achilles. I think if he doesn't tear his Achilles, right, we're entering into the season, he finishes, say, as the quarterback 11 total, quarterback 10 total. There's no way in hell that a guy on a team with an offensive line as good as the Falcons, a guy on a team with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson is the quarterback 18. Again, I get the Achilles worry, but he's the quarterback 18 off the board, right? He might not, if you're worried about it, maybe I'm a little bit scared to play in week 1. Okay, you know what you're going to do? You can just draft someone else with him. You package the two together. You play the other quarterback week 1, and then you roll with Kirk Cousins from there on out. Kirk Cousins is one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in the regular season. Is he going to take the Atlanta Falcons to a Super Bowl? Probably not. Probably not. But what he's going to do is be a very reliable, a condom wrap on your fucking fantasy football team, game in and game out. Sure, he's going to have those down games. But at the end of the day, he's going to be one of the most reliable quarterbacks in fantasy football. And frankly, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, these guys around him can elevate him to having those top 5 games. 38.9 pass attempts per game last season, 27th in terms of completions, 27 per game. He was 12th in terms of completion percentage, 291 passing yards per game, 5.8% passing touchdown rate, 18 passing touchdowns to just 5 interceptions, 14 carries for 25 yards, no rushing touchdowns. Kirk Cousins is far from Michael Vick in terms of running. Maybe he'll run the ball 14 times, like in 8 games, maybe, or in 16 games, 25 times maybe. But again, that's not why you're drafting Kirk Cousins. 7th in terms of QBR, 3rd in terms of true passer rating. Again, say all you want about Kirk Cousins, but at quarterback number 18, the amount of safety that comes with Kirk Cousins to me makes him worthy of the pick. And if you're just waiting on quarterback for the draft, right? Maybe you get bent over a table, you go draft a quarterback. You're like, you know what? I'll draft a running back in this round. And then the quarterback swing inevitably happens. Like 7 quarterbacks go off the board. And you're sitting there like, fuck. I have to draft this guy or this guy. Well, just take Kirk Cousins. Because again, coming off the Achilles, maybe he starts slow, but I think he is going to be a potential top 12 quarterback game in and game out. And a quarterback 18, that is just egregious for the guy that Kirk Cousins has been in fantasy. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying today's video, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. While you're down there, leave a like on today's video. Check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. And let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you agree with these guys? Do you think they're studs? Or maybe you think these guys are duds. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys all so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another banger of a video. Love you guys as always. Good boy.